humor. Now, our next speaker is one of the world's leading designers of Edu-larps. She has a background in game design and pedagogy and is one of the founders of Lajvbyrån. She now works as a research assistant as part of the Transformative Play Initiative with focus on analog games at Uppsala University at the Department of Game Design. Throughout her career, she has met thousands of students of all ages and have run and designed LARPs for them. She has also been a teacher in game design at both Chalmers University of Technology and the University of Gothenburg. She is passionate about designing for interaction, storytelling, and learning. When she is not involved with games, you will probably find her at the dance studio doing ballroom dancing. It has often been said about her, though she be but little, she is fierce. Now, I've had the pleasure of working with this speaker, and I can attest to the fierceness. I will say that it's combined with a competence, and above all, a kindness that makes this speaker an absolute joy to interact with. I give you Josefin Westborg.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
So, I realized that today, maybe in a week, it will be exactly 20 years since I started LARPing. It is also this year 10 years since I started working professionally with Edularp. And I thought, what better way to celebrate this than to be here and share some knowledge with all of you lovely people. So that's what I'm gonna do. To start this off, I just want to be clear with what I'm talking about is stuff that probably would have been good for me to know before I started working with Edularp, but didn't know. Things that have shocked me or surprised me during my career, and some things that I probably should have known, but maybe didn't. So, what is Edularp? Edularp is a LARP designed with the purpose of teaching a specific content. That's where we want to start off. So, first thing I want to share with you, what you think you will do working with Edularp is not what you're actually going to do. I thought I would spend a lot of time designing super cool LARPs. Actually, designing, if I'm lucky, 5% of the time, maybe. What I did a lot was spending time on running a business, calling sale calls, going to sales meeting, doing budgets, salaries. Also, specifically with Edularp, carrying a lot of stuff around. A lot of time doing that. I think I spent more time doing laundry of costumes than of designing. That's the reality of an Edu-larper. Also trying to plan ahead and sometimes fail to plan ahead. Like when you find yourself in Värmland, in the middle of a forest, in the middle of nowhere in Sweden, and been LARPing a full day with 60 kids, and you brought costumes for all of them, linen tunics and woolen tunics, and it's been raining all day. And there was a big stream running through the LARP area. And the kids thought, well, I'm kind of wet anyway, so let's go into the stream. Linen soaks up a lot of water. So there we stand at the hotel with 60 drenched costumes, realizing it's 5. 8 tomorrow morning, there are 60 new children wanting to wear these costumes. How do we get them dry? We didn't think about this before, because we didn't think... I'm not sure, we probably would have thought about that it would rain. I mean, we're in Sweden, but no. So we ended up taking over the sauna for the rest of the night and just trying to dry things. Like the smell in there... We had some tourists showing up, coming in there, and we're like, hi, sorry, we can move stuff. And I could see them go, no, it's okay. Yeah. But at least I got to do a lot of LARPing, right? I got to do a lot of game mastering, not LARPing. Because it's not about me, it's about the participants. So we have a script we need to follow, and we make scripts that are, this scene is 4 minutes, next scene is 7 minutes. That's the detail level of it. And you have a bunch of ruddy teenagers to get through this and also make them have a great experience and learn something. It's not about what my character wants to experience. That's no. So, no. You're just going to do other stuff, basically. What I found out that I didn't know is that not all children know how to play make-believe. As a LARPer, I know I used to think, and what I still hear a lot is, LARPing is super hard to explain, but it's super easy to do, because we have all played make-believe. Like, we know how to do this. Not everyone does. And we need to design for that. Most of them know how to do it, but not everyone. So we need to help them with in-game and off-game, and what does it mean to be a character, and what is me, what is myself, what is a character, and how do I balance this? So that is something we had to design around. Now we come to my pet peeve. Like, I could have given a 2-hour talk and rant about this, but I'm not going to. LARP is not the magic tool for teaching. When I started working, I thought I would be spending all my time talking about how amazing LARP is for learning, and just explaining to people how awesome it is. I spent way more time telling people, especially LARPers, why it's not. You can learn from any LARP, but that is not the same thing as that LARP is good for teaching. It's not good for everyone. When I have been to schools and running LARPs, that has been a mandatory experience. It's not LARPs for people who have chosen to LARPs. It might be the teacher, or it might even be someone at the municipality that decided that everyone who is 13 years old will do a LARP, and the teachers are really not that into it because they have a lot of stuff on the curriculum to work with and don't want to put time on anything else. Learning is hard. But there is also the idea that I hear a lot that because we like to LARP and because it's fun, it will make it easier to learn. Yes and no. Because, of course, if you're motivated, that is good for learning. But also, how we think we learn things and how we actually learn things are not the same. There are studies made where they ask people, how do you prefer to learn things? Is it watching videos? Is it reading text? Is it doing? And then they try to cater to the students. So they had different groups that got to learn in the way they preferred. And then they have groups that just got to do what the teacher wanted them to do. What we found out is that they learn about the same or less if they get to pick. Because we like to do what is easy for us. You can see this if you ever go to a gym, or if you just try it out yourself. Like, what exercises are fun? It's the one you're already good at. Like, because the other ones are super hard. And it's the same with learning. Also, when studies are made, we know that everything is good for teaching. Which sounds weird, right? But when we make these studies, when we try to compare how something works in relation to the ordinary, it means you try something new, and something new, most of the times, is more interesting than what you're used to, which means it will be something different, it will stand out. So the relevant question, is it a better tool than other tools? That's what we want to find out. I've also heard this a lot about video games. I've had friends that said, well, you know, I learned English through playing video games. It's so good. Why don't we do that in school? Okay, English in the Swedish curriculum is the 4th biggest subject. We have a lot of hours in that compared to other areas. So in Sweden, we have 9 years of compulsory school, aka it's written in the law that you need to do 9 years of school. In all of those 9 years, we have 280 hours for English. So if I plan to do a LARP, and now I'm not planning for an 8-hour day because most kids don't do 8 hours. So I'm counting shorter here. That would mean you would have 5 days each year where you play a LARP. Would that teach you as much or more than your ordinary education would have done? Or, to compare with video games, it's about 6 of the longer video games today. So if you play 6 longer video games, do you learn more English than you would do during your total education, your mandatory education? Probably not. But it's about what we learn. They are good for different things. There are things that LARP is great at that we a lot of times don't do a lot of in the ordinary education. But there are also things that LARP maybe is not that great for. So it's about when, what, and how, and we do really need more research in this field, especially for LARP, because we don't have a lot of hard numbers. So I'm not saying, I realize I sound like, Edu-larp is shit. No, it's not. It's awesome. But you need to know for whom, and where, and how. Next thing I learned. Immersion, we talk about immersion as this amazing thing that's why LARP is good, we get immersed. But immersion can actually work against learning. There are studies in psychology that shows that immersion is great for learning empathy. But we also have studies on more digital games that show that flow is actually really, flow in games is actually really bad for learning. Okay, how does this work? Well, to get a deeper understanding and learning, we need to reflect. And to do that, we need to take a step back, go on the outside and look into whatever we're doing. When we're immersed, we are not doing that, because then we are in the middle of it all the time. So then we are not taking the step back. I also want to highlight, it might be a really good idea to foreshadow what it is you want to teach with your game. There are sometimes a really good point to be made out of giving them an aha moment. Oh, this was actually what we're doing. But most of the time, it's a lot easier to help them with a reflection if they actually know what it is we're working with. So if you're gonna do a LARP about the medieval times and how they related to religion, say that before you start LARPing, because otherwise they might only focus on something totally different in the LARP, and then it's harder to help with the reflection. But the whole idea about that immersion might not be good for learning. Well, there is one good thing about that, because we can work with that. So, my fifth point is, after discussion is everything, which obvious to a lot of us now, which was obvious for me when I started working with this, I thought. The after discussion is where the magic happens. Talking about magic. I knew this, but I didn't actually understand it. I was running a course in game design where my students were supposed to try out LARPing. I decided to run a LARP with them that was from the start written by LajvVerkstaden that we also at Lajvbyrån used a lot. This LARP is about what it means to be brave. They play characters who are brought in by the military police who wants to get a confession about who among them has been hidden a terrorist in the building they all lived in. What they don't know is, of course, that no one is guilty. The military police, of course, don't give a shit about that. They want a confession, they want a scapegoat, and they don't care. So the LARP is a lot about pointing fingers. And the characters are written, so some of them will think some of the others are guilty. Some of them will think no one is guilty. Some, we have a few, like 2 characters or something that are ready to take the blame, who are super clearly not guilty. Like everyone can agree on this. The only person who's clearly not guilty are fine with just stepping up. And we also have those who wanted to only get the right person and want to protect those who are innocent. So I ran this LARP, but I didn't do the full debrief. We didn't do a full after discussion about being brave because the focus was on teaching them about LARP, not about being brave. Half a year later, I run into one of my old students who played the game. And she tells me, that was such an interesting experience because my character had to stand up and say that maybe no one is guilty, maybe they just want to set us up. And what happened was everyone started pointing fingers at me, saying, so if you think no one's guilty, maybe you're just trying to protect yourself. Maybe you're the one who's guilty. And she said, that was really interesting. I really learned that if I'm ever in this kind of situation, I will never stick my head up. Shit. That was more or less exactly the opposite of what we wanted to teach. But we didn't do a proper debrief. So you need to do the debrief and the after discussion to contextualize what happened. And since we usually design a lot around having different experiences, you need to hear the other's experience to get the full picture, or you end up with someone never wanting to stand up for what they think or themselves ever again. I have learned a lot working with this for 10 years, and I wanted to share with you what, from a larper's perspective, would have been good to know before. So I've tried to narrow it down to that. And since repetition is really good for learning, here are the 5 takeaways again. You will spend most of your time not designing LARPs. Not all children knows how to play make-believe. LARP is not the magic tool of learning. Immersion can work against learning, and the after discussion is everything. Thank you for listening. And thank you everyone at home, or wherever you are, for watching, or at the office. Please be at the office, that would be hilarious. We are thinking about you.